Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is 58 Keys, and in the pursuit of helping writers like you and me get more from our Apple gear, this time we're focusing on the iPad, sort of. Here's the thing. There are some writing tools we've got to discuss. I mean, they're so good, they're so useful. We have got to examine them, we've got to enthuse about them, we've got to do everything. But some are so big that I've actually not been sure how to start with them. And that's especially the case with Scrivener. You can call it a word processor and you wouldn't be wrong, but you'd be leaving out so much. It's more, I think of it as a writing studio, an app for writing in, yes, but also for handling the business of writing a lot of words. It's built really for novels and long-form non-fiction. I mean, it does scripts too, but we're not looking at that today. And there's a Mac version, but we're not looking at that today either. To get us in to have a first look at examining Scrivener, I want to show it to you on the iPad. When you and I are done chatting, I'm going to go over there to write all day. Today it's chiefly going to be articles, reviews, non-fiction, basically. I am, though, also working on a novel. And to help me exercise those kind of different, writing muscles, I do three things. I write the novel here on my iPad. I write it for an hour every day. I mean, today is only day 25. I think it's a bit soon to tell you I'm disciplined at this, but that's the plan. And the third thing I do is I use Scrivener. Let me show you how I've been using it every day. And then I'd like to point out some extra special features that I think are particularly good. Let's open up Scrivener. Right, these are all the books I've worked on in Scrivener. It's a mess, actually, to be fair. Some of these are now published, some of the discarded drafts. And it does matter. Actually, I should sort it out, because the first thing Scrivener does is make sure every one of these is synced to Dropbox. And this is important. You can make it sync by tapping there, like I just did. You can, Scrivener tries to do it automatically whenever it can. But the thing is, it's easy for you to forget about this. And it's also easy for you to finish your writing and come out of the app before Scrivener can kick in automatically. And say you do that. Say, I'm writing this novel here, but then later today, I'm working on the Mac, I think of something, Scrivener's there, I open it up to add something. I could end up with two unsynced different versions and not know which is which. I suddenly think that's a great way to double your word count. Yeah. Syncing, important. And when you've got a lot of books here like I have, well, and actually the longer you leave it, the longer it takes. I press that sync button whenever I see it. But for now, it is synced, so tap here to go into my novel. This isn't even a first draft, okay? If you catch any text on the screen, be gentle with me, okay? The main part of the screen here, all of this is where you write. The next thing I'm going to write, these are all the chapters. I'm going to write another chapter, so I tap there and I get this. You could plan stuff out here. You could create 20 chapters or whatever it is, and then you can pop a little synopsis, a summary of what it's going to be. So a summary, a title. I don't know what one's going to be next, so I'm just going to call it that. Tap add if I want to do this and then do a few more of them, add up a few synopses, or open if I just want to start writing. This is in fact where I'm going to write for the next hour. The fact that it's an hour, well, that's me. It's what I think I can do every day. But actually, sorry, just in the middle of talking to you right now, I've realised the novel is actually about time. So it seems appropriate. What I'll do is I will set a timer on my iPhone or maybe on my iPad like this, and off we pop. Scrivener can't do a timer like that, and why would it? But I can also tap here to set a word count. Now, I don't tend to use this, but let's say I do. Let's say I'm going to write 1,000 words today. Well, you'll see what happens as I go writing. So, excuse me, I'm going to write for an hour. I promise I'll speed up this bit. Okay. Okay, that's an hour. Right now, I could keep going. I want to keep going, but if I did, I'd tail off after a while. I'd end up quitting when I was fed up of it. And right now, doing it this way, I'm actually keen to come back tomorrow to see what happens next. Plus, on a bad day, I can come to it and think, it's only an hour, I can cope with that. But now, having done that, I'm immediately doing this. I'm coming out of the entire project so that it syncs to Dropbox, so that I know it's safe. Actually, normally I also email myself a copy of the text, but I'll show you that in a second. You've seen the word count feature. I might use that, actually, quite like that. That's useful. You see the use. Writing in Scrivener is pleasurable. I can't, it's kind of less heavy going than it is in Microsoft Word. Can't really explain why, but I enjoy writing in it. If that was all it had going for it, I would be so happy, but there's more. So across the top and across the bottom here, you get some controls. Fine, there's lots we could say about that. Along the left here, this is what Scrivener calls the binder. Think of it as one of those massive lever arch binders, the folders we used to get in offices and fill up with paper and things, if you can remember that far back. The binder here contains your whole book, including all of the chapters. Everything from here where it says draft down to there, those are the chapters of the book. I can drag them around. In fact, you see this one, 99, not sure where this goes, but that was yesterday's thing. I had an idea for something that must come later in the book. I don't usually do that. Actually, I usually try to write in chronological order, but I started to make a note about this idea and it became prose, it became the chapter. So I just got it down in Scrivener. I think actually, based on what I've written while you were watching, so I know where it can go first. So I can click this, drag and place it just where I want. Same way, you can also look at this as a corkboard. Like this. In my case, these are the openings of each chapter because I don't tend to use summaries, but those summaries I mentioned, if you've written them for themselves, they can appear here. And whichever it's showing, whatever you need, you can click and drag and reorder the chapters as you need. But the binder has so much more than a book. Last year, I wrote 11,000 words of this novel. And it just didn't work. It had some moments, but it didn't work. I threw it away. I don't know that I'll ever actually use them again. But in here, I can create a previous version folder and add all of that text into there. But actually, if I see this, let me just edit it. I want to move that down out of the way. Notice the section called Research too. This is hugely useful. Anything you can have on your iPad can go into Research. So I mean images, and this is about writing, but you can have images, PDFs, audio recordings, any type of file. You can write notes into that. You can add web pages into Research. And then as you're writing away in the chapters, you can nip in to the research section to check something. Or actually, you can show the research section next to the text you're writing, and I've genuinely completely forgotten because I don't happen to do this. I do find the research thing easier on the Mac version because there, you think something, it's on your screen, you just drag it in. There is drag and drop on the iPad version, but it depends what you're dragging from. Sometimes the other app doesn't play nice for some reason, I don't know. So what you end up doing is importing research items. So you tap this import button here, you choose what it's going to be, you pick the file through. I mean, yeah, it's not a long job, it's just not as quick as on a Mac. But here's the thing, remember, this is one document. I opened my book to carry on writing and it has my draft. Here it could have that previous version or any of the notes. It could have as much research as like, but it's still one document. If I take my iPad away to somewhere without an internet connection, it's still got all of that with me. If I go to my Mac actually later, or to my iPhone even, and I open the book in Scrivener, I have all of that with me. Do you see what I mean about a writing studio? It's as much about helping you manage a long writing project as it is about you actually writing. I should say, Scrivener for the iPad, it costs £40 on the iPad and iPhone together, and around £50 for the separate Mac one. It's actually, for once, it's a British product, so the prices are in pounds sterling, but rough US equivalent is about 50-ish for the iPad one, 65-ish for the Mac one. It varies, and there's so many sales as well. Everyone should use Scrivener, but not everyone does. And that brings me to the last thing I think you need to see about Scrivener for the iPad. Say I've finished the manuscript and I now need to send it to a publisher, to an editor, to a friend who's reading it, none of whom have Scrivener. What you do is you get Scrivener to make a Microsoft Word version or a PDF or a plain text, your choice. It gathers all of your chapters into one document. It compiles them into one document in whatever format you know your recipient, your editor, can open, and then from within Scrivener you send it off to them. How can I say this? If we were talking about the Mac version, we would need another entire episode to just describe this compile feature. It has that many options. It is that fiddly. So many. It's overwhelmingly complicated. Compile used to be the sole thing that would make me hesitate, even for a second, about recommending Scrivener for the Mac. Then Scrivener for the iPad came out, and from the necessity of being on a new and different device, and they started from scratch on it, it only offered a much more limited compilation feature, compile feature. That was and is fantastic. With fewer choices, you get much more clarity. And now compiling your document to send to someone else, it is actually easy on the iPad. In fact, I mentioned that I've been doing this. I email myself a draft every other day or so. And actually, well, I'll admit this, when I did the first one 24 days ago, I couldn't remember how to do it, but it didn't take long to figure it out again. This is a case where the iPad version of Scrivener is easier and better. Although actually, since that came out, since the iPad one came out, the Mac one's been revamped and it's been made simpler too. The complexity has been hidden a bit more. So I do thoroughly and entirely and completely enthuse and recommend Scrivener for whatever you're writing, especially though if it's novels or if it's long form non-fiction. Right, that's it. I have to go over there and start the rest of the day's writing. Thank you for being with me. I don't think I've ever had anyone in the room as I write like that. It was good to have your company. I may even have written better with you watching. That's it for 58 Keys this time. Please do the YouTube dance and click on that old subscribe button. You know it's there. It helps me. It's really good. It's so much fun. And then take care of yourself, okay? I'll see you soon.